all you need to know, the Bloomberg Quint podcast that prepares you for the day's business. Good morning. You're listening to the daily morning update from Bloomberg Quint, and I'm Alex Matthew. Today is the 30th of July. The recent amendment made to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code that provides clarity about preference to secured lenders over operational creditors was a result of the Essar Steel insolvency case, according to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. She was speaking in the Rajya Sabha when the amendments were being discussed. While more and more public sector banks are exiting Reserve Bank of India's prompt corrective action framework, a slowdown in the Indian economy and a lingering crisis in the non-banking financial companies are posing fresh challenges to their asset quality, according to a Moody's report. It said it expects India's GDP growth to be weaker in the next 12 to 18 months without quantifying its growth expectations. Remember, the government has projected 8% GDP growth for the current financial year. The Reserve Bank of India plans to discuss the government's proposal to raise foreign currency debt next month, even as risks are being flagged by economists about the plan. The offering is mired in confusion after the finance secretary overseeing the plan was abruptly transferred out of the finance ministry last week amid reports that the Prime Minister's office had asked for a review. However, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said in an interview to the Economic Times that there's no rethink and the plan is on course. Now, you may or may not have seen this yesterday. State Bank of India cut interest rates on fixed deposits in response to easier liquidity conditions and policy rate cuts. Interest rates on fixed deposits have been cut by 20 to 75 basis points across different maturities, with the steepest cuts at the shorter maturities. A slowdown in demand in a seasonally weak monsoon period and a liquidity crunch in the real estate sector have pulled down cement prices for the second straight month, according to a Bloomberg Quint survey. All India average cement prices fell by 10 rupees month on month to 352 rupees for every 50 kilogram bag in July, according to the survey of 14 dealers across 5 regions. In international news, China backed up Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam and the city's police, with the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office asserting that demonstrators had gone far beyond peaceful protest. Opposition lawmakers said that Beijing had done little to resolve the underlying political crisis and had instead sought to shift blame to radical protesters, Western countries, and the foreign media. The unrest is also taking a toll on the stocks in Hong Kong. Investors yesterday sold shares at the fastest clip in more than 6 weeks after protesters clashed with police for an 8th weekend. While Hong Kong's financial markets have been surprisingly resilient, traders are losing faith as the violence threatens to disrupt the local economy. In international markets, US equities edged lower as tech heavyweights weighed on the benchmarks, while treasuries gained ahead of the Federal Reserve's meeting. The pound tumbled more than 1%. Speaking about the Fed's decision, President Donald Trump renewed his attack on the Federal Reserve this week, complaining it will probably do very little to counteract actions by Europe and China to ease monetary policy, and declaring that a small rate cut is not enough. And the fall in the pound probably had something to do with the Boris Johnson administration ramping up preparations to leave the European Union. Johnson is in Scotland for crunch meetings with First Minister Nicola Sturgeon and Scottish Conservative leader Ruth Davidson, who warned the Prime Minister that she will never support his fallback plan to take the UK out of the European Union without an agreement. Very quickly, the Asian markets, the ones that are open, that is the 3 early risers in Japan, in Australia and in South Korea, have all opened positive. With that, it's over to Darshan Mehta for the trade setup for the day in India. Morning, Darshan. How are we looking today?
Hi Alex, good morning everyone. Global cues are muted at this point of time, but we are in the midst of earnings season, so Axis Bank, Hero MotoCorp and Tech Mahindra will be the nifty earnings for today. Among the other earnings, there is Piramal Enterprises, PNB Housing, Prism Johnson, NMDC, Dish TV, Vinati Organics, Heidelberg Cement and VIP Industries. In terms of numbers announced after market hours, Dr. Reddy's results were below estimates. The higher other income boosted profits. The gross margin saw a big contraction both on a yearly basis and a sequential basis. That was the key disappointment. US sales were low. That dented the financials, while India and other markets did well. PSAI and proprietary product segments saw a degrowth that impacted revenues, and the margins were also aided by lower R&D costs this time around. DLF was also weak, revenues down 12%, EBITDA down 22%. The profit was up 2.5% on the back of exceptional gain and higher other income. Bharat Electronics also revenues were flat, EBITDA was up 11%, margins improved to 16.7%, and profit was up 12% due to higher other income. Reliance AMC, the earnings were ahead, aided by lower cost and pass-through of fee cuts. The AMC has been losing market share due to losses among corporate and HNI clients. Sanofi, revenues up 10%, profit down 2%, EBITDA down 4%. And IFB Agro was very weak. Revenues down 20%, net profit down 75%, and EBITDA was down 73%. Strides Pharma has entered into a joint venture with China's Yuhuan Pharma with a 49% stake. BML has stated that it has commenced production of manufacturing of metro cars for the Mumbai Metro project. And Muthoot Finance says that in order to moderate gold loan growth due to spike in gold prices in the last 2 months, fresh gold loan advances was temporarily stopped in some branches from July 25th to 27th. But there's much more you need to know before trade actually starts. For that, log on to our website bloombergquint.com and click on the All You Need to Know tab, and you will be prepared for morning trade.
Thanks, Darshan. And as always, thank you all for listening in. This is Alex Matthews signing off. Have a great day.
I hope you enjoyed listening to All You Need to Know. Did you know that you could listen to the show on the IVM Podcast app? On the IVM Podcast app, along with this, we have a number of other shows which you think you'll enjoy. Listen to Cyrus Says with Cyrus Brocha as the host. Listen to Paisa Vaisa with Anupam Gupta. The Scene and the Unseen with Amit Verma, or Shunya One hosted by Shiladitya Mukhopadhyay and myself. Check out the IVM Podcast app to get more talk content that you will enjoy.